Welcome to the question of the day. Today we got a question from Jeff in the Minneapolis area. His question is, my service manager wants to role play our process all the time. I hate role play. What other ways can I train that don't involve role play? That's a great question. I get that question a lot, especially when I'm like out in the field myself and working with teams. I don't run into too many people that actually love role play. So I get that question a lot. I have a question back though, and my question back is, do you want to be the best? Or at least better than yesterday? Do you at least want to be better than yesterday? Do you want to grow? If the answer to any of those questions is yes, then I would say, suck it up, Buttercup. Like role play, just do it. There's no better way to be the best or better than yesterday, or at least growing in the right direction, than to practice over and over and over in real scenarios, as real as you can make these scenarios, as real as possible. I always say amateurs practice until they get it right, professionals practice until they can't get it wrong. And you look at a number of industries that have professionals. I don't care what industry we're looking at. If you look at the best in any industry, that's what they do. They practice over and over, and they make it as real as they possibly can. When I used to be a trainer, I worked for an automotive group, and I would train a number of dealerships. And I had the luxury of one of the dealerships closed. And so it was an empty dealership. And they allowed me to use that as a training dealership. And that completely transformed our training. I went from using a classroom and like setting up tables like a car to try to model how to do like a walk around on a car, to now I actually had a dealership. I had a front door. I had a parking lot. I could pull cars in from the neighboring dealership so that we had cars on the show floor. We could use real cars and make it as real as possible. And we saw our training results. We saw our sales numbers of new trainees get better. I used to have a statistic that we measured, and it was called time to great, how quickly we could get a new hire salesperson to perform at the average level of the dealership they were going to. And it was roughly around 4 months. Like at 4 months, we could get them performing at about the average of the dealership. And when we implemented this realistic scenario, making it as real as possible, we actually cut that down to about 3 months, shaved 25% off of the training time. Now, okay, that's my scenario. That's my experience. But look at other industries, right? I love looking at the NFL. So professional football. And I don't care if you're a football fan or not, like you'll get this. The NFL is a business model. To get into the NFL, just to get in, just to for them to see you and be interested in you, you have to be the top 1% of the top 1% just to get in. And even when you're in, you're not in yet. Like you're on the practice squad. So you have to stand out on the practice squad just to make the roster. And once you're on the roster, that doesn't mean you're a starter. All right. You're probably like a special teams guy or on the bench. Like you have to stand out. Have to be the best at your position to be a starter. And once you're a starter, that's where the pressure really increases, because now you got four dudes behind you all doing the same thing you do, and you got a target on your back. They want your spot on the field, and everybody's watching you on TV. There's millions watching around the world. Like, you can't say I did it or didn't do it because everybody can clearly see it on TV. Did you catch the ball or did you not catch the ball? Right. And so, but it doesn't stop there yet. Like you're a starter on a team, but now there is a draft every single year simply to find somebody better than you. So I love looking at the NFL because it's the best of the best. But look what they do. They practice. They practice, practice, practice. They practice in the morning. They practice in the evening. They practice most of the year. And even when they're not practicing as a team, they know to be the best. They're still practicing in the off season. They're working out on their own. They're getting together with other teammates. They're practicing. They practice until they can't get it wrong. And they make it as real as they possibly can. They scrimmage against each other, they scrimmage against other teams, they practice. So that's the NFL. Look at another industry, right? Look at debates, right? If you were on the debate team in high school, what did you do? You practiced. You practiced debating each other. And even on a grander stage, look, anytime there's a presidential election, they have debates. And how do they prepare for those debates? They practice and they make it as real as possible. They get into a venue that looks just like the venue. They have the bright lights on the stage. They make the stage look just like it's going to look at the actual debate. They bring in somebody to role play the opponent, somebody who debates in a similar style and is going to go after the other person in a similar style. They make it as real as possible. They go over question after question after question. So there's no question that's going to pop up and surprise you. They make it as real as possible. Now, you want a real good example? Look at our police officers, the amount of training that they do. And I'd love to get a police officer on here and be able to explain this better than myself. But the one I can explain is I saw this training that they go through just a couple days ago, and it was you're in a building, and it's a combination of screens that play like a video, and there's a scenario playing out in front of you. But then on top of the video, you have real life actors that like jump in from the sides and change the scenario. So you think you're looking at somebody holding a hostage, but then there's somebody like popping out the side and they got something in their hand and you don't know what it is. And now you have to like watch the person holding the hostage, but also watch this person on the side and what's in their hand. And you got to make all these decisions in real time of whether I take action, whether I shoot, whether I don't shoot. What do you do? And they practice this and they make this as real as possible because they don't want to screw up in the field. If we don't role play and we screw up in the field, we lost the sale. We'll go to the next one. If they screw up, somebody dies. So the best practice, and they make it as real as possible. Now, if you still don't believe me, there's studies that go into this as well. I would encourage you to Google a few of these studies. Google Bloom's taxonomy. If you Google Bloom's taxonomy, it'll show you how people learn, different ways that people learn and learn best. Now, at the top of Bloom's taxonomy is create. When you're able to create something. So when you're not simply listening to something or taking that information in, but you're actually creating it yourself. I know most people, when they had to get their hands on it, when they had to get their eyes on it, when they did it themselves, that's when the learning really happened. I remember about 15 years ago, I created the Objection Boot Camp. And the very first Objection Boot Camp that I rolled out to a company, I created it myself and I had already gotten better, but I still wasn't even the best. I remember making little mistakes and being nervous, but the fact that I had created it allowed me to get through it. And the more boot camps I did, the more practice I did, the more I went over and over and over and created new ways to overcome objections, I got better to the point that today, you're not going to surprise me with anything. There's not an objection that's going to shock me. You can throw multiple objections at me, and we're still going to keep working our way through it. Google hierarchy of learning. So the hierarchy of learning shows how people learn. The best way to learn is to practice, to actually do it over and over and over again until you can't get it wrong. At the bottom is like absorbing, reading, listening. Yes, you can learn those ways. You will get something. But the best way, the fastest way, is to practice. Another word for practice, role play. Make it as real as possible. Google Vygotsky, theory of learning. Vygotsky is spelled Vygotsky. Vygotsky theory of learning. And in Vygotsky's theory of learning, he'll talk about the zone of proximal development, right? So you're in a zone. Basically, it's your comfort zone, where you are and what you can do currently. And what you have to do is you have to expand into that next zone, that uncomfortable place. That's what Vygotsky calls the zone of proximal development, meaning that's where the growing is going to take place. If you go too big too fast, growing won't take place. It's too hard. But if you look at where am I at and just what's that next layer that makes me uncomfortable, can I grow into that? It's pushing you beyond what you can currently do right now. It'll be uncomfortable. You're going to make mistakes. Performance might even go down for a little bit, but that's what we call the J curve. It'll go down, but then it'll come right back up because you're going to practice and do it over and over and make it realistic, and you'll get better. Amateurs practice until they get it right. Professionals practice until they can't get it wrong. So to close, I guess my question again is, do you want to be the best? Do you at least want to be better than yesterday? Do you want to grow? I don't believe anybody gets out of bed and says, I just want to suck today, or I just want to maintain today. I just want to tread water. Nobody says that. That's BS. We all get out of bed. We all want to grow. We all want to be better than yesterday. We all want to be the best at whatever it is we're doing. So if you want to be the best, if you want to grow, suck it up. Do the role play. Get uncomfortable. Do it until it's second nature. And when you get that down and it feels comfortable, push to something harder. Role play something harder. Make it a more difficult situation. Because if you're not growing, you're dying. If you have a question, reach out to me either on email, social media. I'm going to put all of that information in the show notes. If you're an X-Star member, schedule a call with me. Let's dig into your scenario one-on-one and customize it to what you're experiencing right now. I'm Coach Chris. We'll see you tomorrow.